Hi Flosstube, it's been a really long time, but welcome back to MJ's Stitchy Memories. I'm going to just try and focus on a few whips that I have in a bag, and I think this may be the way that I'll just have to do floss tubes. I have made many floss tubes over the years that I've never uploaded because either I didn't like the way I looked, I looked bad from health things, or I was kind of only had a couple projects to show and not much progress on them, so I thought it would be anyway, I guess comparing myself to Flosstube. And I was forgetting that the original reason for this was for me to celebrate stitching memories, my own stitching memories, to hear about your stitching memories, and it wasn't to compare my style of floss tube or my types of projects or whatever to anyone else, but I found myself doing it, human nature, I guess. So I haven't opened the bags. Most of these I have on an electronic version, and still have not figured out how to edit. So the progress probably won't make a lot of sense, but I'm going to show it anyway because I'm proud of what I've done. So, the first one is Minnie. It's a Minnie from Haid, and it's Minnie Melissa. And so it's a beautiful girl in blues and yellows and a whole bunch of beautiful bright colors. And just kind of roll this down a little bit because really the part that matters is this kind of stuff that I've got down here. So I started in the lower left hand corner, and I started with trying to see if I liked the idea of cross-country black, trying to complete the largest stitch count, the thread with the biggest amount of stitches in it, and see if I liked that way of stitching. I kind of do, but then I needed some break, so I did take a few colors just to kind of get them in and see how they would look. So this is Minnie Melissa. I believe the artist is Hannah Dale? Does that sound right? Hannah Lynn. So hopefully in a future floss tube I'll have a tablet or something that I can show what she's going to look like. But I'm really proud of how much I have done on this for really not working on it for a real long period of time. I used it a lot in some of the different challenges that it was really helping me on to get some stitches in. This I started I have a friend whose son is autistic or on the autism spectrum. And so this was a puzzle heart that came out for autism awareness. And so it's the 4 quadrants of the heart in puzzle pieces in the most used autism colors. I know the autism spectrum colors actually use pretty much all the colors of the rainbow, but the blue, the yellow, the orangish color, and then the red, I believe it was red, are the colors that the chart that I found had. So this is on 18 count scrap, and I really would like to get this done. I started this in like April of 2024, so I just haven't worked on it very much. The way that I'm always looked at my cross stitching is as a hobby, not a job. So yes, I alternate between setting goals and not setting goals, just to kind of help me through those periods when my health is discouraging my cross stitching. So those times are when the goals come in handy, or the various groups that I stitch in come in handy. But for the most part, it's just a hobby when I have time, when I feel like it. And why I do love finishes, they're not my focus. I used to not want to start anything until I had it fully kitted up, and then I found I wasn't starting anything because, you know, it's cost prohibitive for me to wait to stitch anything until I have everything. It just, I won't ever get anything started. And I like the idea of just starting when I feel like it. There's some definite start periods during the year I like to do, but for the most part, I just want to start when I feel like it. I love starts. I love the process of a blank canvas and then, you know, seeing something starting on it. So, and watching it grow ever so slowly, as I'm a slow stitcher. So I'm trying to move. I don't park correctly. I just kind of, when I stop with the thread wherever I'm at, that's where I park it. So and this is a tree, and it's called Mouse Tree. And this was one that somebody gifted me as a, sorry, I dropped threads on the floor, as a like a rack, but not through any, just randomly someone gifted me this in a PDF form. So basically it's a tree of branches with mouse ears that of course resemble the shape of Mickey Mouse, but they're not, nothing on this says Mickey Mouse or Disney or anything like that. So and what I like about it is I'm using scrap greens for this project. So I'm trying to keep in 2 reds for most of it, but the greens, I'm using like a variegated green and just some scrap greens I have in my stash. And it's kind of fun. It's a project I like to work on when I want to think about where I want to put colors and which ones I want to use. So it doesn't have any set, you know, time frame that I need to have it done in or for someone. It's just what it is. I'm doing this on 14 count silver or gray Aida. So I'm using like some JP Coates threads, some Aero threads, AIRO, some TYCHE threads, some DMC, and I started this, some gold circle threads. I started this in March of 2024. So if I know the information, I'll tell you. If I don't know, then of course I won't. And I do apologize for the rustling of the bags. I did not think of that. I don't know if I've made any progress on this since I last showed it. But this is, the chart is called I Love New England, but it has 2 patterns on it. And one is a folk art country pattern with a goose and what I like to call the traditional like country decor of the 80s, which my first home had a lot of. Like my kitchen was apples and like geese, and my living room was like, you know, hunter green and burgundy, and so I was all over the 80s color palettes. And so what I decided to do is to take these 2 patterns and from Alma Lynn and blend them together. So I'm going to do most of, Where's my finger? Where am I pointing? Okay. I'm going to do most of this pattern. But instead of the goose on this one, I'm going to try to add in the lighthouse from the New England pattern. And then I think that's really the only major change. And then I'm putting up here the I Love New England. So it's just because the folk art country didn't really, I don't know. I may do them actually both again separately, but for right now, this was what I wanted to do with this one. So I also made an error. I made an extra heart at the bottom. So everything kind of is having to be fudged along. So I'm going to have to kind of really play with, that's what this thread here is reminding me, that I need to kind of fudge this a little bit. She is finished, I believe, including all of her back stitching. So this part is done. The hearts are done. The hand just needs the back stitching. So this hand needs back stitched. And then of course the basket, and then fudging in however I'm going to do the lighthouse. So this is a combination of the I Love New England pattern and the folk art country pattern from Alma Lynn. It's the Americana series, and I think that's all I know about it. So I'll put this back together later. Now on that one, I think I do need some threads for, which is another reason why I kind of slowed down on it a little bit. So I wanted to catch up on threads. This one I thought I was going to be stitching on last month for With the Magic, and then I misplaced it. So this was an anniversary pattern from the Witchy Stitcher. I think it was a 6th anniversary. Yeah, of I guess her shop, and it is called the Birthday Cupcakes. So I'm doing it with some scraps, some DMC, sorry. And so there are 3 ghosts. One kind of looks like a ghost, one is kind of like a Frankenstein ghost, and the other one is a I can't even remember what kind of ghost. But I have the Frankenstein type ghost. He's done. And then I have the kind of spooky ghost, and he's partway done. And then, so I tried, originally I was going to, scooch them up really, really close. And then I decided to put a little bit of space in them because I'm thinking I might want to turn them into ornaments. I think it would be kind of cute to have like a cupcake tree someday, but then take the ornaments that, like these are Halloween, also put them up at Halloween. So I don't know. I don't know if they're far enough apart because I don't know how to do finishing to actually be turned into ornaments. But that's my progress on it. I had it out because I was going to work on it. I didn't end up working on it because I'm missing. I ran out of like the white that I'm using, and I actually ran out of black. So I'm doing this on that same kind of silver or gray 8 to 14 count. And then I restarted this in March of 2024. So I wanted to work on that this summer, and I just haven't got to it yet because I still haven't found that particular white that I'm using. I did find some black, but not any of the white. I joined in a few sales this year. Most of the time I join sales, stitch alongs. For some they're start alongs. For me, sometimes I don't even get them started, during the same time frame that they start. But this one is from, how did forget who this is. It's one of the big fabulous fours, I think. But this is the Dreamcatcher Sal. And I started it very late, and I started in the upper left-hand corner. But I am so proud of myself because I actually have a whole entire page finish minus 2 stitches. So I need 2 threads to finish down here to finish the complete page 1. And I don't think I've ever completed like a page like a page. Like, I've jumped around and eventually complete a page, but this is just kind of cool for me to, oh, I've actually completed a page. And then I started on page 2 over here, and then I dropped down a little to the bottom page below it just to kind of spread out. But this is going to be a dream catcher with feathers and baubles, and it is going to be so beautiful. Again, I'm not trying to keep up with everyone. I'm, way far behind. This was meant to be like a year and like 15 months or something. So I'll just get done when I can get done. This is Happy Haunting. I lucked upon a D-stash, and this is my working copy. This is by Nessie Lynn's. It's Happy Haunting. And so he's a variegated orange, of course the white ghosts, a variegated yellow moon. And then I think they used variegated threads for the Happy Haunting as well. Let me see. Yeah, they actually used sampler threads for everything. I'm doing a mostly DMC conversion, and I might use a DMC variegated orange just because I have it, instead of ordering the variegated that it's called for. And then this is on a piece of green that I was given by a friend, and so I think it's 14 count. So basically I have the 2 ghosts are done, and then I started the eyes on the pumpkin, and I just have to find where I put the variegated orange that I was going to use for the pumpkin. So right now that's misplaced. So, and I'm not using it in any other project, so I don't know where I put it. I think it's in the wrong bag. So that's Happy Haunting. This one a great friend kitted up from no, we just showed this one last time. I haven't done anything on it. This is it was still a great friend that gave it to me. It's the snow umbrella trivet with the 3 umbrellas that was in my last short video, and I haven't worked on it since that. This is the one that a great friend gave me. Kitted it up for me, and I love it, and I counted and triple counted and quadruple counted, and just was not going to make any mistakes on it, and had, just all intentions of October 31st from Carriage Garden Samplings to be done correctly with the called for threads. So what we ended up doing is changing some of the called forwards and then putting in DMC. So kind of doing a little bit of kind of a mix and mash here. So we're doing Color and Cotton Black Ice, and General Arts Simply Shaker Raven, because it's a raven, and then 10 Bucket. So these are the main colors, and then I'm accenting with 3768, 646, and 3371 colors. So it's a dark palette, but it's, to me, a rich dark palette. And the fabric is gorgeous. Do I still have the tag on it? Of course not. Do I still have the tag in the bag? Let me check. Yes. It is a Color and Cotton Graveyard Mist 28 count. Yeah. I love the color. I love how the colors look on it. Get it turned around going the correct direction. Because this is the problem. The pattern goes vertical in a rectangle, and I have it horizontal in a rectangle. So it will, I stopped on it because I thought I was going to have to fudge or to frog all of this out, which is going to be very hard. I mean, I'm doing it over 2, but it's still because it's linen. It's, it doesn't have slubs, but it does have the thick, it does have some thicker threads. I don't know if it's even weave. I don't think it's completely even. It's either even weave or linen, but it's still going to be hard to frog out because it's very soft. It feels nice. But I think that I'm going to have a hard time trying to frog this out without ruining it. So I'm going to try to finish it, and then I'll have, I'll just have a whole bunch on the sides. And so I'm thinking, because I don't want to just cut it off, it won't be enough to put in, like the sides won't be enough to put ornaments on. There won't be enough on them to actually make something else. So I don't mind the idea of having a really short, matte top to bottom, and then having a wide, fabric showing. But I was thinking that this October 31st is here, and I was thinking of putting like my 3 initials and the year that I started it as where October 31st is, and then writing, October, or not October, but OCT 31 on one side of it, and then leaving some open fabric on the other side to, have a finisher, maybe put, some rickrack or ribbon or, things to embellish it a little bit. Even though it has a natural frame around it with the design, even though this is a natural frame, the other thing that I thought of is extending the frame out. So in other words, not putting the frame until I stitch the October 31st in. So stitch October 31st and then extend the frame to come out and around it to make it more, in essence, turning it from a rectangle to a square, most likely, is what I would end up doing. So it's been sitting here not being stitched on because I'm really still trying to decide how I want to do it, or if I've decided I don't want to frog it. So either I will cut off all of that border so that it well, that won't really help with it fitting because I started in the center. So as far as using, you know, making a good use of the fabric and not wasting it, so making it a good use of that beautiful fabric that, you know, was gifted to me, and I definitely do not want to waste it. I don't want to risk damaging it, because if I put holes in it, I will cry. I will cry ugly tears. So I kind of was using this as like a what do they call that? Like a Darktober, dark 13 stitching. Trying to start, you know, work on it on like the 13th of each month, or the months that have 31 days, those kind of things. But I've been stopped on it for a while. The next is a kit. It's a Design Works kit. It's called Rub-a-Dub, and it's penguins taking a bath. I love it. It is designed by Joan Elliott, and just like Teresa Winsler, I think you always need to have a Joan Elliott. I don't have a Teresa Winsler on the go yet, so I'm using my Joan Elliott. I've had some off and on issues with this because I'm having to stitch it in hand, because I don't have a hoop. I didn't have any hoops or Q-snaps with me, and this one Q-snap I have with me, I already kind of started it in hand, so I'm having a hard time trying to figure out how to best work with that Q-snap. I think it's also a little bit too big, because this is a very long rectangle, and I'm kind of stitching kind of everywhere on it. So I'll try to make it work here. And I did start at the bottom. I started on the bottom middle. I started on the bottom middle here. Here's where I started. And then I went over and working my way over to the far left side of the pattern, so that I can see how much fabric I'm going to have left, because, you know, some kits give you a lot and some kits give you a little. So right here I am, let's see if I can show you where I'm at. I'm on this little guy right here. So I did get all the way over to the left side of the pattern. So this is my progress on him. And they're all so cute, and I love this, and I want to work on it all the time. Now, the problem I'm having with working on it all the time is, and this is where I don't have color blindness, like I can see colors, but I do have problems sometimes with differentiating close colors. So if it's 4 shades of yellow and they're really close, I sometimes am going to have a hard time differentiating between that. And so when the floss came, it was just all kind of, you know, wrapped around. So I'm in the process of putting it onto a floss card. But in doing so, I'm finding out that there are colors it said would have like 8 strands that I only have 6 of, so then that means I put in color, I put 2 strands under the wrong color, and it's a yellow, so I thought, okay, maybe I mixed them up with the 742s. So I'm thinking that I'm just really having a problem in the yellows differentiating the colors. And I think as long as their beaks and feet are the right yellow, I think the rest of the yellows aren't going to really matter that much. Like the yellow in the sailboat, if it's not exactly right, if it ends up mottled because I used 2 different yellows. I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Or, you know, the gold for the shower, you know, if that ends up being a couple different colors, I'm not going to be mad about that. I just want to make sure that their feet and their beaks are the right color and that the duck looks like the duck. So, looking at this, I want to work on it right now, but I really need to figure out the thread strand issue. Which yellows do I have in the wrong spot, so that I can make sure that I correct it going forward. I'm not going to rip anything out, but correct it going forward. So this is, I love kits for lots of reasons, but when I have to separate them into the colors, if there are colors that are close together, my eyes sometimes just can't do it correctly, as I'm finding. Okay, last one I have with me is one I'm super proud of. I have a military family background, and a U.S. military family background, and the space programs have always kind of been, I look at them as patriotic as well. I look at them as part of being, you know, a proponent of our protecting military. So I was so wonderfully happy to find this in another like D-stash, and it's a Raindrop booklet, but I think that Raindrop is also part of Stony Creek. Well, I know that a friend of mine told me that they are part of Stony Creek. So it's called Reach for the Stars, and it has 7 different patterns, so 4 on the front, 3 on the back, of various space-themed items. So, you know, way back to, you know, some old parachutes, you know, from, you know, parts of things coming back from space, you know, the Apollo, you know, Man on the Moon, Space Shuttle. So, you know, the Eagle has landed. So I started this one, the Space Shuttle, with the American flag flying behind it. And I'm using most of the called for colors. I think I substituted maybe a different red here or there. And I'm doing a scrap of 14 count blue, light blue Ada. It's a really soft one. And it's going to, let's see, I'm all the way to the right side of the pattern. Actually, yeah, this is as wide as it's going to be. So I have across the bottom is the width. It's just going to go up quite a bit higher. So I started on the left side here. I started in the middle and worked to the left to put these reds in to see if I was going to like that particular red on this blue. And then I went down and started working on the grass, and then the mountains, and then this is starting the shadow or the underside of the space shuttle that's going to extend up this way. So that is my space shuttle. I'm super proud of it. I'm stitching it in hand. So my tension is, it's kind of wonky. I see some, like this is something I do quite often. So I don't railroad stitches, and so I will have, like, that stitch is the same, you know, done the same way as the one next to it, but the under stitches are sitting on top of each other instead of side by side, so it leaves a little bit more of the background fabric showing through. And it doesn't kill me. Like, I'm not going to rip all these out to try and fix one stitch that they're definitely on, that the understitch is on, like, they're glued together or they're on top of each other. Like, I'm not going to go back and fix it. If it was the top stitch, I would consider going back and just like re-going over the top stitch to make it look a little bit better. But I don't have super great tension. My hands just don't, they don't pull the same. It's part of just how I'm wired. I've tried and tried and tried to really, you know, try and pull the same tension and practice, and I end up getting really frustrated because I'm not in as much control of my hands as I'd like to be. They just don't have that. I don't know if it's, you know, because of the arthritis I've had since a child. I don't know. And I know now that since my accident, I'm having some neurological issues. So I noticed that it's kind of getting worse, my ability to pull with better tension, but I'm not going to stop stitching. You know, I don't see any of this going into a fair to be judged. I'm not going to, I was judging it. I was judging all my stitches by other people. I was judging how slow I stitch by other people. I was judging the types of projects I stitch by other people. And I'm just not going to do that anymore. It's a waste of time. It doesn't benefit anybody. It's not going to make me go any faster because I stitch how I stitch. My eyes don't move that fast. I think I've actually watched some stitch with me's, and I think that is what has kind of solidified to me that I need to not worry about comparing myself to others in my hobby, because my eyes do not move as fast as people's hands move. My eyes can't focus that fast. I've watched people sit and look on their phones, and it's all a blur. I can't see anything that quickly. So I think I just have come to the realization that my eyes are my eyes, and I have what I have, and it's not about glasses or not glasses. It's about the ability for my eyes to come back and focus, and I've always had that issue. I do have multiple stigmatisms and other things going on with my eyes. I do have a lazy eye, and all these things have been, you know, corrected throughout the years to the best of what they can give me. So I'm just I have what I have now. Yes, I will need glasses for vision and for nighttime driving, but as far as for fixing the focus ability, we've got the best of what I'm going to have in that regards. So I'm just not going to worry about it, and I'm just going to enjoy stitching what I can stitch. I mentioned my friend Terry in my last short video, and I think of her often, and I still do, and I still miss her on the daily. But I learned something from her. Her eyes, because of her health, deteriorated much faster than she expected. So, you know, she was working on 28 count fabrics, and she was working on beautiful hand dyed, you know, to her, what she called fancy fabrics. And as she was having more and more problems with her eyes, up to the point she was getting eye injections, she started having to go back to plainer fabrics, as she put it, go back to 14 count mushroom, you know, or plain, just because that's what she could see best on. And she kind of went, well, I feel like I'm going backwards, you know, with my craft. I thought as I, you know, would age and get experience that I would go forward, you know, and keep advancing and advancing. And then she's like, you know, when I had to go back to plain fabric, she said it was a rude awakening. And that she wished she would have, you know, worked on some of her fancier fabrics, you know, before she got to the point she couldn't see them. So I hope that her family, who got her stash when she passed, made good use of it. She had some beautiful fabrics, beautiful flosses, beautiful patterns, and she had a lot of it. And they weren't interested in her stitching while she was alive, but after she died, they did say they wanted to, the granddaughters wanted to start learning how to stitch, and even the daughter wanted to. So, and then I guess whatever they didn't end up using, they probably sold. But I know at one point, you know, she wanted me to help. If she predeceased her husband, she wanted me to help him with distributing to certain people certain patterns. And but at the time of her death, that wasn't found in the will. So anyway, I don't want to have regrets when I pass that I didn't start something. I want to, and I'm not trying to be morbid, but I did have a major health scare that they envisioned was you know, shortening my lifespan. So I don't want to wait until I have everything to stitch something, because then if I never get everything, I'm never going to stitch on it. And someone, when I pass, will enjoy it, I'm sure, but I want to enjoy it. I don't have children to pass things to. I don't have family. So, you know, it'll go wherever it goes. And if everything I own has a stitch in it, that's fine by me. You know, it's not hurting anybody if I only have a few stitches in everything, which is something I really am tempted to do. I'm really tempted to, as I find my cross-stitch stuff. So I don't know if I ever truly went through it, but I had cross-stitch in 3 different places. I had cross-stitch traveling with me, I had cross-stitch at a friend's house, and actually 4 places. And I had cross-stitch in 2 different storage units, one in one town and one in another town, about 75 miles apart from each other. So one of the storage units was hit by a tornado, and one of the, many buildings, but one of the buildings, the whole back half of the roof was basically folded up. So every unit had damage on the back half of the storage units. And in my case, my unit, where my cross stitch was the back half of my unit. Okay, so I lost all of that. Okay, it was soggy wet, it was in paper boxes, so it was a mess. Now, I did have a briefcase kind of thing, and it had some copies, some working copies in it, and some of those I salvaged because they didn't get as wet. They just kind of stuck together from moisture, but not actually having water on them, just the air, moisture, humidity. So some of those were stuck together so bad I couldn't separate them. Others I could separate them, and I'm going to try to use them. So that was the majority of my cross-stitch stash that I'd been collecting. Sorry, I had to pick this up because I almost stepped on it. Since 2013. Yeah. And some of it is items that, you know, lovely people gifted me. Some is stuff that I, you know, worked in exchange for being paid by cross stitch, and just it was the majority of my stash. Then I had some when I was down in San Antonio with my friend. That's kind of what was traveling with me for a long time, and then it ended up having to be put in a storage unit when that vehicle broke down and needed to be basically sent to the junkyard. So those items went into another small storage unit, and I fell upon some hard times, and I lost that storage unit. So there went kind of the next biggest portion of what I had. So I was down to some things people had given me, and like a very few tote bags that were in totes at a friend's house, and then some that were in the current vehicle that I was driving at the time. So my stash has gone down. Like at one point in time I had like 400 patterns. Okay. So it's, you know, it's considerably less than that. I have been so happy and so grateful that there have been some wonderful cross stitchers out there who have helped me to start to rebuild my stash. And I'll always be thankful for them helping me do this, because I wouldn't be cross stitching right now if it wasn't for that. I don't have the available funds to start all over. I've been gifted some kitted, I've been gifted some supplies, and I've been gifted some charts. So, and then I have found some lower cost items through different things. So that's kind of how I'm able to stitch now. And my finances are only going to get tighter here if what I'm working on now, which is trying to get a vehicle, if that happens, because I had a car accident and there went my vehicle, so it's totaled. So I'm trying to get another vehicle, and if that happens, I will be in car payment land, which will mean there goes the stitching money. If whatever, you know, not that I had a car payment's worth of stitching money, but any stitching money I had, that's where it's going to end up going now. Okay, so very long video, and I'm sorry for all the moving around, but if I didn't put things up while I was working on it, it would not get put back up correctly, because I'm already starting to get tired, and I think I need to lay down for a few minutes. Let's see, so short, I don't know, I'm going to call it plans. What I would like to do is, I'm really being pulled towards full coverage right now. I think I've been watching a lot of Flosstubers that are full coverage. I think I've been seeing a lot of more sales from full coverage designers, and I miss kind of working on full coverage. So I think that's why you see that I had a considerable amount of full coverage. I would like to take and work to get progress, but I'm not a big stitcher, so I can't say, oh, I'm going to get 5,000 on this, or 5% on this, or those kind of numbers just aren't going to work. So what I'm going to do is those that are PDF patterns that are Pattern Keeper compatible, I'm going to load into Pattern Keeper, and that I have started, and see how many stitches are remaining, and take, you know, 10%, 1%, whatever kind of number works, or take the first three numbers. Like if it's, you know, 180,000, then do, you know, 180 stitches. Or if I feel froggy, do 1,800 stitches, but not in a specific time, and maybe not all together. Because if I wait, like if I was going to say 1,800 stitches, and I'm going to wait till I get 1,800 stitches, it might be all year. You know, that I get that many stitches put on that particular pattern. So none of the others are getting anything. So I'm either going to take the first three numbers, you know, or 1%, or, you know, arbitrary, and they're all going to be different. Like I just, whichever way I feel at the time when I open that pattern, that's the number that I'm going to set as a goal. Some of them, it's just going to be 250 stitches because it's 2025. Some of them are going to be like 56 stitches maybe, if it's like a super heavy confetti area that I'm in. 56 stitches could take me days, weeks, you know, depending. So because I'm 56 this year, so their goal may only be 56 stitches. Now I'm not saying I can't complete that goal and then do it again. Like, let's say on the Melissa, let's say I set, you know, 250 because it's 2025, and then I do that many stitches, and then maybe I work on something else, and I can come back to her again, do another 250. I can do 250 and then 250, and then so I want to set small achievable goals. So when I set large goals, it doesn't work. So I'm going to set small achievable goals, and then I can repeat them should I decide to keep working on that pattern, or if I want to switch to another one. I would like to touch all of my already started full coverages that I can get my hands on. So some of them may still be in, so the things I was carrying around in the vehicle are now back in yet another storage unit, and they are behind everything. So getting to them, they're up high on shelving that I need a ladder to get on. I'm not allowed to climb ladders right now. So there's just some of it I just can't get to. So the caveat is I want to touch every full coverage I have started that I can get to. There are also some I know I lost that I had started that I have a copy of the pattern because I have an electronic pattern of it, but I no longer have the supplies or the fabric. So those I know that I had started, I'm going to restart them. So it may only be with 2 or 3 colors, and it may be, you know, just the cheapest fabric I can find. And one I definitely want to restart really soon is Amorous. Amorous is a Cocker Spaniel in a steampunk-esque look. So it's got a top hat and a monocle, and it just, my Cocker Spaniel was a female, but it just reminds me of kind of like her little attitude. She was the sweetest dog, but she sometimes could get that little, you know, and I just miss that about her. And so that one, I know I have lost it, so I just need to restart it. And so I think I'm going to set the goal to start that at like her birthday. So it would be around 500 stitches I would need to do to start that one. I wouldn't do them all at once, I'm sure. I would split them up. I haven't even started getting the fabric or the threads for it yet, but that is when I want to, you know, get a partial kit up and get a restart done on it. And then there are others that I have maybe 10 of the colors for, but they're in one of the corners, so I could technically start them. So I'm going to also, if I can start something, if I have the fabric for it. Now I know that when Joann's went out, I did get quite a few of those rolls of 14, 16, and 18 count Aida that they're less than a yard. They're like something by 36 or something by 27 or whatever. So I got a few of those on like the last days in one of the stores. And then I had some coupons at Michael's, and I got 3 more. So I have like, I think 5. So I could technically start 5 small full coverages. So it has to be like 200 by 200, or I think 300 by 200 is the largest I can work on. I have some that are much larger than that. I can't acquire the fabric for them right now. So I think that when it strikes me to start those, I'll start them. I'm kind of going to look at like 200 stitches as a start. My days of putting in 20 stitches and saying it's a start, just I'm not even going to count them as a whip until they have around 200, excuse me, until I have around 200 stitches. I remember the year, sorry, that was an alarm telling me it's time to eat. I remember the year that I was in Whip Warriors, and, you know, we had that period in December where there was a few days where you kind of had to start everything that you were going to work on for the next year because you could have no new starts. And that was back when that was the original design. I'm no longer in that group, but no longer active. I don't think I'm even in it anymore. It was very hard for me to follow, and there's some other groups that I'm having a hard time keeping up with what I'm supposed to be doing. So, and I think some of that's just from this accident. So I didn't notice as much issues. It was more time issues, more not having time to stitch or not having access to internet to post. Now it's more trying to figure out what I'm supposed to do. So anyway, so I have the potential to start 5. Not necessarily 5 this year, or this month, or what. Just whenever I'm pulled to start one of them, I'm going to start it. And I think I like the idea of doing, you know, if I have the colors, of course, it's going to be easier, since I don't have all the colors, to start with those with the most stitches, so that I can get the most bang for my buck and, you know, get quite a lot of stitching in. I've seen some people, like, I love how Kim Hollenbach does, where she does, like, all black stitches in the whole entire pattern, so it looks like something, you know. And the one that is a Halloween piece, she hangs it up during Halloween in the state that it's in. And it would be so neat, which she probably does, is take a picture of her wall each year to say, okay, you know, this Halloween it looked like this, and by the next Halloween it looked like this, you know, had more fill in and more fill in and more fill. And I would love to be able to do that, but I don't use easy count fabric, and I'm afraid that I would have to carry too far, that I would make too many, not carry too far, but I'd have to skip so many stitches that I would make a huge, you know, counting mistake. Now on Headless Horseman, which I did start, it's from Tilton, and it's basically a square. And I wasn't sure if my fabric, I measured it a couple of times, but it was when I was having a lot of issues with seeing things after the accident. So I am going around and doing like 10, you know, taking one 10 by 10 square and doing the major color. So whether it's black or 939 or 823, whichever dark color, I'm trying to go all the way around and establish the border. And then kind of, you know, work in from there, not necessarily doing, you know, cross country across the whole project, but a similar, you know. And then as I, you know, acquire 2 or 3 threads, you know, add those ones in, and then eventually I'll have all the threads, and eventually, you know, years and years and years, maybe it'll get done, you know. I like the idea of trying different ways of stitching, just to try them, just to experiment, just to see what I like. I mean, I technically have been stitching for 11 years, 12 years, but I have not been stitching for 12 years. There's been many years I haven't stitched at all. Health issues, etc. So I don't look at myself as an experienced stitcher. I still look at myself as fairly new. I don't know how to do a lot of things. As I showed you, I don't even know how to make all my threads lay flat all the time without, you know, if I don't railroad, and sometimes my railroading doesn't even look good. So, but this is just something I do for, you know, something to do when I'm stuck sitting and I can't get out and, you know, go play, you know, disc golf or do any of the things I like to do, you know, other things I like to do. I kind of don't read as much because I have to hold my book all the way up to here, and then I get massive headaches and hurt my shoulders and my arms from holding the books. I don't crochet as much because I'm in Texas and it's hot most of the year, and I don't like hot things laying on me or going through my fingers when it's hot. So I just, a lot of the other things I like to do, when I can't do them, you know, cross stitch has become my major hobby. And there are times I don't do it. And it just is what it is. When I can see, when I can sit, you know, semi-comfortably, and when I'm not doing other things, you know, when I'm at someone else's house where I can, you know, have air conditioning things, it's a little bit easier to stitch than, you know, when I'm camping or when I'm, you know, at someone's house without air conditioning. So that's just kind of how that's working. So I'm sorry for the very long floss tube here. That's lots of me moving around. I don't know how to not talk without my hands. I also, you know, rubbing in the eyes, and that's just kind of what I have to do. I have, you know, very bad issues with that. I also have waited to post any of these to make sure that all the bruises from my accidents are gone. Those were quite embarrassing to me. I didn't really want anybody to see those. I looked a mess. So I'm not really worried about, you know, my bad hair days. Those are just normal. I'm losing so much hair that kind of bad hair days are the norm for me. But I wanted to get on here and say hello, and, you know, I don't know if I'm ever going to get to do a full whip parade. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to do, you know, I find all my finishes and do a finish parade. My things that need to be fully finished. I want to look at them. I want to touch them. I want to see them, even if they're not fully finished. So I kind of would like to get all those together and do a, you know, hey, needs to be finishing parade. I want to do where maybe I have, you know, 5 whips, and you all pick which one I need to put as a focus, because I can get, you know, squirrels. I can be like, oh, I want to work on, you know, the cupcakes. Oh, now I want to work on the October 31st Raven. Oh, now I want to work on the penguins on Joan Elliott, you know. And I can get myself in a little bit of decision fatigue and sit there and go, oh, and not work on any of them. Just as an example of, you know, the ones I showed you today. So I think that I would like to do something like that, like every video have you all pick a potential new start and which whip of what I showed that you would like me to work on. So that I can just kind of, you know, on those days when I have that decision fatigue, when I can't make the decision, or I'm struggling to make the decision, I can say, oh, well, my lovely Flosstube friends would like me to work on this one. So that's the one I'll work on. And that will kind of give me that push to, you know, to pick when I'm having troubles picking, if that makes any sense at all. But I think I would like something like that. I fell in love with a video I saw last night of, I think it was the Runner Stitcher. Yeah, the Runner Stitcher. And his partner, and he chose all of his, you know, he chose out of the 20-some whips that the Runner Stitcher had, he chose the order of his favorites by, like, categories. His 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s, 1s, and then the favorite. And I was like, oh, I wish I had a significant other to go through all of my whips and you know, put them in some kind of order. Because what I would like to do is take, you know, like somebody did that with my whips. Say, okay, you know, pull something from the 5 category, the 4, the 3, the 2, and the 1 category, and work on them. And, like, you know, it would be kind of fun to do something like that. Because if I only pick my current favorite, then it's going to get a lot of work, and then everything else isn't going to get much work. And one stitch is progress, as far as I'm concerned. So whether I put 1 stitch in something or 1,000 stitches in something, I'm going to do it, because it's the process. I know that people out there are, you know, they're stitching for the product. Some are stitching for the process and some are stitching for the progress. And I used to kind of be the just solely process stitcher. But now that I'm finding that sometimes I'm not doing the process because of things in my life that I need to move more towards progress, so that will encourage me on the days when I would rather just sit and not do anything with my eyes or my hands. Like right now I'm having really bad dry itchy eye, so it would be a hard time for me to be stitching right now. But if I had a progress goal, I could say, okay, I need to get 250 stitches in this, sit down and do 25 stitches, just do one strand, not one 6-strand pull, just one strand, which is about 20 stitches the way that I pull. So even if I just did that, that would at least still be some progress and at least doing something. So we'll see what I try and figure out. I do like to plan. I do like having a planner. I do like to plan. I just really haven't done a lot of it. So I'd like to try to maybe do some of that. I'm not one of those January 1st resolution kind of person, though. That kind of thing, that sets me up for failure. As soon as I tell myself you have to do this and these are the steps to get there, I don't do it. Now if I want to do it and these are steps, then that's different. So I'm rambling, and I'm finding that I am even more gravitating towards stitching things that are tied to memories, like the rub-a-dub-dub. Penguins are some of my mom's favorite animals. The spooky cupcakes. I love cupcakes. But I love Halloween, and I love the cute faces, and it's memories of baking with my nieces. It's the New England one reminds me of some traveling. So a lot of my whips are connected to memories, which is why my channel is called Stitchy Memories. People that I have stitched with while I'm stitching them, the topic in it, in the whip, brings up a memory. So I think I'm going to try to more focus on explaining more of some of the memories when I'm in future Flosstubes. I'm not going to say how often I'm going to post, because like I said, I have recorded probably 100 Flosstubes that have never been posted. So I have, intentions to post, and then either I'm just not happy with it. I've learned I don't want to go back and watch them before I post them, because I'll never post anything. So this one I'm not going to watch it. I know it's got a whole bunch of mess in it as far as me moving around and the noises from the packaging and the noises from the air conditioner, but I'm just going to post it how it is and go from there. So I hope that some of you have stuck around and waited for me to come back. I love your comments, those that people send me in comments below, and in those that send me individual comments. I do love this neighborhood of Flosstube. I love the interaction. I watch a lot of Flosstube, and don't always write down who it is, but all of you that I watch, which is many, I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. You're inspiring. Looking at everyone's whips is motivational, so keep it up. I hope I'll see you soon. Keep stitching your memories, and have a wonderful day.